Welcome everybody to Beyond the Barricade. I am your host, Papa Dank, and tonight the podcast continues. Actually, we have right now. I gotta fix my screen. The owner of We Are Wrestling, and we got to meet recently at a Wrestling Is Now show. The one and only Pete Rosado. I got your name right this time.
Hey, look, see, everybody was saying you were going to get it wrong this time.
Did you see that last time with Peterson?
I did. I was like, you know what? I'm going to give him a little grace. It's the first time, We'll work on it.
Once I knew I messed up your name, I just ran with it with Pete.
You just kept going with it.
With Ryan. How are you tonight, sir? You are the owner of We Are Wrestling.
Yes, and I am absolutely freaking exhausted. It has been a very long day. I am the owner of We Are Wrestling, yes, but I am also a full-time teacher, full-time educator. And today was the first day of school for me. I know a lot of my Department of Education colleagues in New York City go back on Thursday, and just so they all know, I hate them for getting an extra 2 days. But myself, I work in a charter school, so we went back today. So first day of school, had all my kids in, and so it was a very long day for me. And then new transportation now, not driving to work anymore, taking mass transit, and things got a little wonky. And so got home later than I wanted to. So literally came in, threw my lunch and my coffee cup in the sink, rinsed it out, gave my dog a little bit, like 5 seconds of love, and then I was like, gotta go. Got a podcast to
gotta
do.
go.
I feel like that's and it's a labor of love. It really is. When you run a professional wrestling company, or even you're part of a professional wrestling company, just the kind of appearances you have to, do. And especially for someone like me, in a situation where I'm promoting our upcoming show and making sure that, if I'm going to act my talent, hey, can you go out there and do this interview? Hey, could you make some time for this podcast? Could you do this? Could you do that? Right. I'm not going to ask my talent to do anything I wouldn't be willing to do. So, same thing,
Awesome. Not only do you own your own company, you're also part of another company that I'm also affiliated with. Wrestling Is Now.
Yeah, a variety of companies, actually. So
let's spit them out before we go into Friday's show.
Yeah, so for the better part of 10 years, I've been active in doing commentary. Hello, Serena. Active in doing commentary in the independent wrestling scene in New York and New Jersey. And so got my start in our great business back in, I believe, late 2013, doing some pre and post show interviews at a company called FWE, Family Wrestling Entertainment, ran out of Brooklyn and Queens. Got some great insight there, learned some great lessons, met some great people. From there, I transitioned to doing photography work, even though it wasn't official photography work, but doing photography work at a couple of companies in the New York area. And this is kind of where that Wrestling Is Now connection comes in. I would go to the Ludus and Fighting Spirit Wrestling, the original company that the Maximos ran out of the Ludus training facility in Brooklyn. And I would buy front row seats for shows and bring my camera and take pictures of the matches from the front row in the hope of going to promoters and saying, hey, this is what I can do. I'd like to do more. I'd really love to learn. What can I do? That transitioned to me, getting a call from a friend of mine, AJ Pan, who I had met at FWE. He was doing a lot of backstage stuff for them at the time. And he knew of a company called Five Borough Wrestling in Brooklyn, run by Troy Thompson. And he said, hey, there may be a chance for you to do commentary. And that was kind of where my passion was, because I was, I'm trained in broadcast, went to college, wanted to do broadcast, ended up kind of switching ideas, but trained in broadcast, had radio broadcast experience, and wanted to do commentary. And that's where I kind of broke in on commentary, doing commentary for Five Borough Wrestling in Brooklyn. And I was with them for about the final 2.5 years of their existence. And it's where I really met a lot of the people that I kind of roll with now. It's where I met people like, Mikey McNicholas, aka Mittens. It's where I met, professional wrestler Pete Corvus. I know him by his, real name. It's where I met guys like Benjamin Falbo, who works in a creative capacity for Catalyst Wrestling. It's where I met young guys like Chris Barton, who were really still trying to find their way to break into the business as well. And it's also where I made connections with people that were including Joaquin Morales, who now runs Battle Club Pro and runs the Fallout Shelter training facility in Brooklyn. A lot of professional wrestlers that I met during that time. I met a very young MJF, Bear Bronson, Mike Verna. The list goes on and on of the people that I was able to cross paths with and learn from. Demetrius Papadon. And from there, it just kind of grew and started doing commentary for promotions and then did some ring announcing for a couple of promotions, just trying to find any way to kind of serve other companies and break into the business, get experience, spend some time training in the ring, and very quickly realized that while I love it, and while I did love it, I didn't have the time to really dedicate to training and being a professional wrestler, but that I still wanted to be able to contribute to our business, and decided that backstage is where it kind of worked for me, backstage and commentary. I started learning from some people about, putting together matches and doing things, kind of more of those backstage behind the scenes stuff. And then I ended up with a company that still currently operates, Breed Combination Wrestling, BCW, for a number of years from when they first started. I was with them from their very first show, did their commentary, eventually started working backstage with them as part of their management team, put together some of the shows, part of their booking committee, talent relations, however you want to put it, and just kind of kept going. And now, after the pandemic, decided I kind of had this passion to start, a company of my own. And I've been thinking about it for a long, long time. And that's how we ended up with We Are Wrestling, and, still doing commentary for a number of companies, including Titan Championship Wrestling in South Jersey, Invictus Pro Wrestling in New Jersey and the Bronx. Wrestling is now, of course, the Maximals and me go way, way back. We Are Wrestling. A variety of other places as well, and hoping to pop up in some new places as well. Always open to new experiences, always open to new companies and new opportunities, and hoping that 2023, I think we have got some things in the works, hopefully some irons in the fire, but hopefully 2023 opens a number of new opportunities for me. And I don't want to forget, almost did, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, company out in Connecticut that I do commentary for now. I've been with them for about the last 3 or 4 shows. So always really an awesome opportunity to just step into new places.
Wow, that's awesome, man. You've done a lot of stuff.
Listen, I've been around the block. Like I've a lot of the people that we're seeing now kind of come up in independent wrestling or just make it on the national level. Like I remember when MJF graduated from Creative Pro Wrestling Academy. I remember when the Creative Pro Wrestling Academy in Long Island was launched, right? I went to one of the first open houses for Creative Pro when the New Jersey facility launched, where it was formerly Pro Wrestling Syndicate, run by Pat Buck here in New Jersey. So I've seen a lot of these young men, and young women. Like I remember when Chris Statlander first got into training. I remember when Chris Statlander broke out of Creative Pro and really started making a name for herself. I was at NYWC, when a lot of the talent at NYWC I actually saw just this weekend. I ran into Michael Mistretta. And I sat there and I was like, man, I remember when Mistretta was kind of just trying to find, who am I? What am I doing? Where do I go with this? What direction do I go in? And really trying to find himself. And I look at him now, what he's doing at NYWC and in other places, and I'm like, this is that evolution, and seeing a lot of people that, you know, are around the scene, either when they were still training, when they first entered training, or when they were just finding a way to blow up, you know, and now making it on television. Like it's always awesome to turn on TV, turn on NXT or AEW or WWE or even MLW, NWA, and see
Right.
even Impact, sorry, and see so many people that I've crossed paths with, and that I've seen, you know, find their way to this. And it's really awesome to be able to see them on TV every week, or to see them, you know, traveling the country, traveling the world,
Right.
doing some great things.
It is awesome. I know what you're talking about. I remember when Chris Statlander just used to valet. She wasn't even training.
Yeah. I actually have a picture in my phone. And it's one of the proudest things that I always look at. The night that Willow Nightingale won her first ever NYWC Starlets Championship. And, you know, I look at that picture and I'm like, I look at where Willow is now, like taking the world by storm, and rightfully so, right? Rightfully so. And seeing the way that she's grown over the years, just as a performer and as an athlete. And it is always so great every time I see Willow back in the area and I'm able to see her. It's nothing but smiles and nothing but congratulations. And there's so many people like that I can go through my phone and find pictures 5, 6, 7 years ago of meeting them for the first time, working with them for the first time, and seeing where they are now. It's just absolutely incredible.
It is incredible. We got a comment for you, Pete. From Jeanette. Look at this guy. He knows everything about everyone. I wonder where I'll see him next. Well,
Jeanette, you will see me next. You personally will see me next September 16th at Titan Championship Wrestling, Blaze of Glory. Can't wait for that one.
Blaze of Glory right here alongside with Goddesses of War.
Yep, at the Highline Arena. Can't wait to go back there. The last time Titan Championship Wrestling was at the Highline Arena, it was a double show with Goddesses of War Wrestling as well. But the last time we were there, Anthony Gangone in triple threat action against Johnny Moran and the legend Ultimo Dragon. We saw a main event between PJ Savage and Homicide. We saw Ray Kalitri defend the World Middleweight Championship against, you know, the former Simon Gotch. You know, just so much that we were able to see the last time we were at the Highline Arena, and now building to go back to the Highline Arena September 16th. Yes. I can't wait to be back on the call for Titan. It's been a couple of shows. I was not able to attend their North Carolina show. You know, their tribute to Andre the Giant at the Rankin Museum in Ellerbe, North Carolina, and unfortunately was not able to attend the Titan Enterprise multi-brand show just this past Labor Day weekend due to me traveling with family and things like that. Yeah, so was not able to attend the last 2 events for Titan, but cannot wait to get back at the Titan commentary booth along with Alphonse Stevens and Alex Aceta and call all the great action at Blaze of Glory.
Awesome. I will be there as well, Pete.
Hey, look at that. Hey. Papa Dank in the building.
Look at that. There's my little pop figure right there in the corner.
There you go.
I'm excited, man. I mean, talking to Billy is like, he is so amazing.
Oh,
so
man.
amazing.
Talking to Billy, listen, you, ladies and gentlemen, if you need something to wake you up in the morning, if you're trying to find a way to get off a coffee and still get that rush, if you need something to be addicted to that's safe, don't do drugs, ladies and gentlemen. Speak to Billy Fetsky about Titan Enterprises and about Titan Championship Wrestling, because the passion that man has and the energy that man has for Titan Enterprises and Titan Championship Wrestling is so infectious. It will get you revved up like nothing else.
It so is, man. I appreciate him giving me the opportunity to be there as well. But this Friday, let's talk about We Are Wrestling. Deja Vu.
Yes.
First of all,
Deja Vu, our 2nd year anniversary. There's a reason why we named it Deja Vu.
I was going to ask you, why did you name it Deja Vu?
So all of our shows are named after songs. Our very, you know, from our very first show, Wanna Be Starting Something. And then followed by it was Want to Be Starting Something. Second show, it was All a Dream. Show number 3 called One Step Closer. The only song that really, Welcome to the Bronx was more of a deep cut, a very independent song in the Bronx. And then now we get to Deja Vu. And the reason why it's called Deja Vu is there's a match on this show that is very much full circle. So back in December of 2021, our second ever show, It Was All a Dream, live in Ridgefield Park, New Jersey. We had a match, the main event of that match, which is still talked about by many people who were there and many people who are part of the company. The main event of that show was Dan Moff, one-on-one, against O'Shea Edwards for the first time ever. And it was a no disqualification match. And those two men absolutely tore the freaking house down.
Right.
Now, there's a rule in wrestling. It's kind of one of those unwritten rules for anybody who watches baseball and knows about the unwritten rules. There's always like when you capture lightning in a bottle, when you capture magic, you don't want to try to recreate it, right? Because it was special.
Right.
And for some reason, I kept having this feeling of wanting to find a way to get Moff and O'Shea back in the ring one more time. Uh-huh. And so on this show, Moff and O'Shea will be back in the ring facing off against each other, but it will be slightly different. And this is why it is called Deja Vu. See, back in December of 2021, the original main event for that show was not scheduled to be Dan Moff versus O'Shea Edwards. It turned out to be that, but that's not what it was supposed to be. Okay. It was actually supposed to be Dan Moff one-on-one for the first time ever against John Davis, a well-traveled member of the independent scene, former member of the Evolve roster, former member of the Ring of Honor roster alongside Corey Chavis as part of the Dark City Fight Club. And Moff and John Davis had never met one-on-one. And I'd known John Davis for a while. I've always seen him around and seen a lot of his clips and been able to see him live. And I was just like, man, that would be a fantastic match. And that was the match we originally had planned for It Was All a Dream. But unfortunately, John Davis suffered a bit of a knee injury. And thankfully, John Davis is at the part of his career where he listens to doctors. Right? A lot of wrestlers nowadays are like,
yeah, screw that.
I got a tear in my knee. It's fine. I got seven bookings in the next 7 days. I'm going to go work on one leg. And
that's true.
Professional wrestlers, please stop doing that. Please go rest. Get the help that you need. We want you to be healthy for a very, very long time. And John Davis, was told by his doctors he probably should give himself 2 to 3 months to rest and heal. That included not being able to work our show. And John Davis was the one who said to me, he was like, hey, what about O'Shea Edwards? And I'd always loved O'Shea, always had an affinity for the man's work. But I was like, I don't know if he's going to be available. I mean, the man is a very busy wrestler. It was like maybe a month before the show. And our show was going to be the night before the final, at least we know this now, the final battle under the old Ring of Honor regime.
Right.
And I was like, there's no way that O'Shea Edwards is going to come to New Jersey. First of all, I don't think he's going to be available. Secondly, there's no way he's going to come to New Jersey and work a hellacious match against Dan Moff to then the very next day go to Baltimore, Maryland, for a very important show for Ring of Honor. Right. Well, I was wrong on all of those fronts. And it was one of the best damn main events we have ever had at We Are Wrestling. And that is saying a lot because over the course of our first 5 shows, we have had main events like Darius Carter versus Trish Adora, Dan Moff versus O'Shea Edwards, Jay Lethal versus Rob Killjoy, Speedball Mike Bailey versus Janai Kai, and Rob Killjoy versus Darius Carter in the finals of the We Are Wrestling Grand Championship tournament. Those have been our 5 main events when you think about the matches to close the show. Right. And that match from our second show probably stands out as probably one of the best main events we've had of all of our main events. And so here we are almost 2 years later, maybe shy by like 3-4 months, almost 2 years later. And we're going to run it back one more time, this time in tag team action, live in the Bronx. And I'm actually starting to be a little worried as we get closer and closer to the day, because I'm worried if maybe I bit off a little bit more than I can chew in putting these 4 behemoths. We already saw what O'Shea and Moff did. And if you haven't, go to our YouTube, go to We Are Wrestling, our YouTube channel. The match between Dan Moff and O'Shea Edwards has been uploaded. It's in its entirety for free. So you could see the destruction that those two men brought to Ridgefield Park. And now we're adding John Davis and Sean Donovan into the mix. I may have done a little bit more than I should have here. And I'm legitimately starting to get scared.
You're starting to get worried over there.
Starting to get a little worried. I really am.
What about that other big match that's been one of your competitors' dreams? Ruthless Lala versus Mercedes Martinez. And she talked about that on the podcast last time she was here a couple of weeks ago. It is like her dream match, and you made it happen for her. And she was very excited that you made this happen for her. How did it come about?
A lot of negotiation, a lot of messages back and forth with AEW management saying, "Hey, can we make this happen?"
Dealing with them is the worst, man.
I wouldn't say that. I've
had to deal with them.
Yeah, over the course of my time with We Are Wrestling, I have nothing but good things to say about working with AEW management in terms of trying to secure talent and trying to bring talent in for We Are Wrestling, as well as working with the talent themselves. I mean, we've worked with Jay Lethal. We've worked with Sky Blue. This is now our second time working with Mercedes Martinez. She was on our second show. It was all a dream as well. Listen, it's going to be difficult working with a company that has wrestlers under contracts at any point. We are very, very blessed and lucky that we are able to get such high caliber talent that is on television every week, whether it be on Dynamite, whether it be on Collision, whether it be on Rampage, and be able to bring them to the Bronx. That's one of the things that was a major thing for me. I am born and raised in the Bronx, New York. And the only time I've ever been out of the Bronx is either when I'm on vacation down south in North Carolina at my dad's house, or I went up to college in Syracuse, New York. But the Bronx is my home, and it always has been. And for me, there was never a high-level professional wrestling product in the Bronx. The last time that there was when Battle Club Pro originally launched, and they were running shows in the Bronx, New York. In the inception of Battle Club Pro. And they were doing something that you just didn't see in the Bronx. You didn't see high-level shows with quality production, bringing in high-level independent stars to the Bronx. If you were seeing that, you were seeing that in Queens. You were seeing that in Brooklyn. You had to go to Jersey. You had to go to Long Island. It wasn't in the Bronx. Right. And then if you wanted to really go see people, you had to go to Manhattan and go to Madison Square Garden, or go to the Hammerstein Ballroom, or go to one of these big name shows and pay top dollar, Right. And so for me, it was very big to do it in the Bronx because it just doesn't happen. And there is a large, undersatisfied, underfulfilled, and underappreciated wrestling community in the Bronx. In fact, many people may not even know this, but there is a picture. You can go search the annals of the internet for it, of Dustin Rhodes, then under the Gold Dust moniker, playing basketball in a gym in the Bronx probably doing a wrestling show or wrestling event of some kind. I'm not sure what the context of the picture is, but it is there on the internet for you to find. And it's just like, wait, what? I've spoken to fans and they've just been like, I remember seeing Jimmy Superfly Snuka in the Bronx. And I was like, why doesn't that happen anymore?
Yeah.
Right?
But
working with AEW management, back to that, has, it's tricky, it's difficult, but it's been great so far. We are lucky to have Mercedes Martinez with us, especially the fact that she is currently right now one of the top players on AEW Collision every Saturday night. You can see her on Collision. You just saw her on the All Out 0 Hour in trios action. And for me to be able to, I had conversations with Ruthless Lala over the last couple of years, and she's kind of told me, like, yeah, I've got dream matches and things like that. And I didn't go into this thinking, oh, let's put together a dream match for Ruthless Lala. Hey, Lala, tell me the opponents you'd love to have a match against, a dream match. Let me go do that. No, it's not what I'm in the business of doing. I'm in the business of putting together incredible matches that just make sense. And as the young kids would say, they just slap. And when I sat and I thought about it, I was like, man, Mercedes Martinez versus Ruthless Lala would be absolutely incredible. And it just so happened that also happened to be a dream opponent and a dream match for Ruthless Lala. And I was just like, this is just that great mixture of things, that coincidence, just everything coming together so perfectly. And this Friday, it's for Lala, it's probably the biggest moment of her career.
Yes.
And for Mercedes Martinez, it's going to be a great night for her, because I know Mercedes, and one of the reasons why she loves being a member of the AEW roster is she's able to go up against women that are absolutely on that next level every single week. And she's going to be able to do that Friday night against a woman who feels like for the last 20 years, she should be a lot further than where she is. But for some reason, she can't seem to crack through that glass ceiling. And this Friday night, Mercedes Martinez is going to be that glass ceiling for her. And win, lose, or draw for Ruthless Lala. I know this is not about, she would love to win this match.
Right.
And I'm damn sure she has the ability to. But I'm also never going to count out Mercedes Martinez. But at the end of the day, for Lala, this is a matter of, where do I stand in the pantheon of women's wrestling? Where do I stand when the OG, the 20-year vet, the woman that so many professional women's wrestlers have said, I modeled what I do after her. I watched her growing up. She was fantastic. She inspired me. And now you get to stand across the ring from that person. This is about, do I measure up after all this time?
Interesting. All right. I mean, that's yikes. That's going to be a great match, man. I wish I could be there to see
it. You know what? If you're not there, and this just goes for anybody there, you can sign up for Title Match Network for the low price of $9.99 a month.
A month?
Yep, it actually is $9.99 a month.
Is it really?
Or you can get an entire year for $100. They will give you 2 months free. 2 months free for a year subscription. If you go a month subscription, they will give you a week free. But you can sign up for Title Match Network and check out Deja Vu live on Title Match this Friday night. We will be streaming live on Title Match.
That's awesome. That's a good deal. Also on the card, Mr. Jarrett Diaz is in action. Do you know who his opponent will be?
Yes, I do. His opponent will be Landon Hale, a man who was a finalist in this year's Scenic City Invitational, one of the most prestigious and important tournaments in independent wrestling. I would put the SCI, the Scenic City Invitational, I would put it up there. You'd have to think Obviously, the best of Los Angeles, PWG Bola, top of the list. Probably the ECWA Super 8 right there. But the Scenic City Invitational, one of the top independent wrestling tournaments, and Landon Hale, off of an injury that cost him almost a year of action.
Wow.
Landon Hale came back and made it all the way to the finals, okay, with a severe head wound that required multiple stitches to close, and made it all the way to the finals. Unfortunately, did lose in the finals to Manders, who is your Scenic City Invitational 2023 winner. But Landon Hale, coming to We Are Wrestling, his first official match on the main roster. Landon Hale actually made his first appearance for We Are Wrestling at our last show in Ridgefield Park. Okay, one step closer. I believe that was May of 2022. Okay, the night that we had Jay Lethal in the building, Landon Hale came down from Massachusetts to attend the Jay Lethal seminar. Jay Lethal handpicked Landon Hale out of 35 plus participants at that pre-show to on that seminar to compete on the pre-show. Wow. And what we saw out of Landon Hale that night, you know, myself and the rest of my crew, the rest of my team at We Are Wrestling, we said, you know, this kid's really, really good. We want to bring him back. And unfortunately, we had him scheduled to come back for our next show. And he unfortunately suffered a severe wrist injury that kept him out of action for close to a year. So this will actually be from all the way back in May of 2022 to now, September 8th, 2023. This will be his first official main card appearance for We Are Wrestling since then.
Wow. That's awesome. Any other match that's going to stand out for you at Deja Vu?
First of all, I think this may be one of the best shows top to bottom that we have. And that's saying a lot because we've had some incredible shows. But I think there's two matches. There's actually more than that, but there's a couple of matches here that are really, really good. We have the 6-train scramble match featuring Anthony Gamble, Nikolai White, Matt Awesome, Clara Carreras, Elijah Eden, and Osito. An incredible scramble match utilizing 6 very talented New York talents looking to break through. You have Isaiah Wolf going one-on-one against Robert Martyr, a match that was supposed to happen almost 2 years ago. Didn't happen for a variety of reasons. And for some reason, these two men keep missing each other. Well, this Friday night, they finally get a chance to go one-on-one. Lucas Chase will go one-on-one against Jorge Santi in a match that I think may be the low-key sleeper match of the night. Those two men are going to beat the ever-living hell out of each other. Vinny Pacifico, who people have recently seen on New Japan Pro Wrestling. He has some really, really big matches coming up, going one-on-one against El Único, Chris Barton, one of only 3 men to be on every We Are Wrestling show since our inception. But I say all that to get to these two matches. The first home defense of the We Are Wrestling Grand Championship, the beautiful Grand Championship, is going to be defended for the first time back in the building where it was won by our Grand Champion, Rob Killjoy. And what a first defense he has. He will be going one-on-one against one of MLW's newest stars, number 1, Ichiban. And if you have not been keeping up at how Ichiban has been blowing up all over the Northeast scene, you are missing out on one of the best young, athletically gifted talents we are seeing out here. You know, coming out of places like Test of Strength, coming out of places like Blood, Sweat, and Tears, and a lot of places up in that Connecticut, Massachusetts area, and now lighting it up at MLW. He's coming to We Are Wrestling to go after that We Are Wrestling Grand Championship, and we all know that he's very good at getting championships. He's currently the Test of Strength K1 Classic Champion. He's currently the Blood, Sweat, and Tears Heritage Champion. He's currently the Wrestling Open champion. And now he's looking in the first home defense for Rob Killjoy to end the story before it begins and become the new We Are Wrestling Grand Champion. And by the way,
wow,
the We Are Wrestling Grand Champion #1 contender is still waiting in the wings. Okay, for those of you who did not see or were not there for our Grand Championship tournament back in March, not only did we crown the first champion, we also found out who was the first contender for that championship. That person, unfortunately, not in the United States right now to compete for the title. Mm-hmm. That is none other than the kick demon, Janai Kai. So whether Rob Killjoy is able to keep his championship or Ichiban becomes the brand new We Are Wrestling Grand Champion, both of them have to be well aware that Janai Kai is in the wings waiting for whoever is the grand champion when she returns from her tour of Japan.
Wow, man, this card is stacked, man. You got it stacked.
You're right. And there's one match we haven't spoken about. And this one I've left to last.
Okay.
Because
let's go.
Just now, no, not I don't say just now, but just a little bit earlier today, I received a video message. Metal Geek, what's up?
Metal Geek.
I received a video message from one Darius Carter. I received a response from Darius Carter to what Mr. #1, wrestling legend, NWA territory legend George South had to say. And that will be posted right after we finish with this interview. So check all the social medias, the Instagram, the Twitter, the Facebooks, the MySpace, the TikToks, all of it. You will see exactly what Darius Carter had to say for a match that's 5+ years in the making, for a match that is a first time ever match, and probably a once in a lifetime match. Papa Dank, I know it's usually rude to ask these kind of questions. How old are you, Papa Dank?
I just turned a healthy 51.
51 years old. Do you think, let me ask you a question. Do you think that if you were 61 years old, you'd be stepping into a wrestling ring?
Me? No.
Do you think it's wise for anybody at the age of 61 to step into a wrestling ring?
Probably not, I'm going to say.
I mean, you got some outliers, Ric Flair, some great outliers.
Uh-huh.
This Thursday, September the 7th, George South turned 61 years old.
Wow.
And on Friday, the day after his 61st birthday, he's coming to the Bronx to face Darius Carter. And listen,
Wow.
I was so ecstatic to make this match happen. This is a personal dream match for me. This is something that has been itching in the back of my head for the last 5 years. Man, I would love to do Darius Carter versus George South. I'd love to do Darius Carter versus George South. And every time I talk to a wrestler, I say, hey, what do you think of this idea? Darius Carter versus George South. They stop. And they just look at me and they go, oh, that would be so good. No one would understand how good that'd be. That's so good. And so here we are in 2023. Darius Carter versus George South for the first time ever, and probably for the only time ever.
Wow,
who knows?
That's huge.
And it's going to happen here in the Bronx. Yeah.
Wow. All right.
And listen, I get it. George South has been in the ring with Nick Gage. I've been there. I went to GCW and I saw, George South and Nick Gage. I went down to North Carolina to WrestleCade, and I saw Nick Gage wrestle George South in a damn death match. I saw George South wrestle Colby Carino in a death match. Wow. I've seen George South do some crazy damn things. But this Friday night, George South may do the craziest thing he's ever done. And that is agree to step into the ring against Darius Carter.
Wow. That's going to be huge, man. That is a crazy card you got there, man. This Friday night, Deja Vu, We Are Wrestling. Make sure you go to wearewrestling.com to get your tickets, right? Where's the QR code, man?
QR code. I didn't send it to you, but you can go to Eventbrite. Eventbrite, catch your tickets at wearewrestling.eventbrite.com. If you want to buy them online, get them online. The location 1315 Olmsted Avenue, St. Helena's Church. If you're driving in, we have a large parking lot at the venue. You can park at the venue. We will have food. We have concessions. We will have a couple of fun vendors there as well. If you're 21 and over, you'll be able to enjoy some of our friends over at, doing alcohol. So we will have that available for those who are 21 and older. Please don't drink and drive.
That's true.
Mass transit available to everyone. So if you are in the 5 boroughs and you're like, hey, I don't drive, I want to get there. Mass transit right there. Express buses from Queens go right to Parkchester. You're 3 blocks away from the venue. You can take the 6 train to either Parkchester or Castle Hill Avenue. Either way, you are 3 blocks away from the venue in either direction. So it is a very accessible venue. It's a beautiful venue, air conditioned. We will have concessions. As you said, Papa Denk, we have an absolutely stacked card, and that doesn't even count the pre-show. Starting at 7:30 p.m., we will have 2 pre-show matches, 1 pre-show tag team match featuring 2 of George South's students coming up with him. Okay. Baron Bullard and the sensational Dre White up against Sensei from around the block, D-Vibe, a Fallout Shelter student, and the king of R&B, Mr. Stan Michael, making his We Are Wrestling debut. And then also in our second pre-show match, we will have another Fallout product in Sammy Chaos, going one-on-one against La Ola de Lucha Libre. Nahir Robles, who will be making her New York City debut straight from Puerto Rico, a recent graduate of the Espiritu Dojo in Puerto Rico, my native land of Puerto Rico. She just recently wrestled for IWA in Puerto Rico, and she'll be making her New York City debut facing Sammy Chaos in the pre-show. So get there early. 7:30, pre-show begins. Main show, the stacked main show, starts at 8 o'clock. You don't want to miss it. And if by chance you can't make it to the Bronx, as we said, make an account over at TitleMatchNetwork.com. Watch the show live from the comfort of your own home. If you sign up for 1 month, it's $9.99. You get 1 week free. You only pay for 3 weeks. But if you sign up for a year, pay $100. You get 2 months completely free. And it's not just We Are Wrestling that you can catch on there. You can catch We Are Wrestling. You can catch Battle Club Pro, another great New York City promotion. You can catch all the action from WrestleCade, hosted by AML down in North Carolina. Huge wrestling convention every year. Their Night of Champions, their WrestleCade Super Show shows all on there. You can catch up on a bunch of women's wrestling as well. Mission Pro Wrestling exclusively on Title Match, as well as a bunch of other promotions. You can catch up on a lot of great things. But listen, IWTV is great. Title Match is great as well. If you're not catching the action on Title Match, you're missing out.
Awesome. Make sure you go get your tickets for Friday's Deja Vu show up in the Boogie Down Bronx. You don't want to miss We Are Wrestling, that's for sure. And Pete, man, thank you for coming on. And hopefully we can do this before every show you guys have.
Hey, I'm down for it. I really am so grateful to every podcast that gives us a platform to be able to plug these events and be able to talk about our upcoming shows and just anything that we're doing, and all the platforms out there that allow for the talent to go out as well and promote themselves. I'm also so happy to be, and I want to plug this for you, Papa Denk. I'm also so happy to be here, not just because Deja Vu is this Friday, but that's also, true. And I know we're 10 days early, but we're doing it for the whole month, baby. Right? Dun. Also here to celebrate Latino Heritage Month, right?
There it is.
Technically September 15th to October 15th. Why can't we start at the first of the month? Might as well get the whole month while we can. And I'm so happy to be a part of the Latino Heritage Month celebration here at the Beyond the Barricade podcast.
I'm so
as a Puerto
excited
Rican and Cuban. Yeah, Puerto Rican and Cuban myself from the heart of New York City. I mean, it's so fantastic to be a part of this. So thank you. Thank you to everybody who's putting this on. And we will see you all in the Bronx. And you, Papa Dank, I may not see you in the Bronx. And me and you're going to fight about that one. But I will see you September 16th.
There it is. Blaze of
Arena.
Glory. Go get your tickets using that QR code for Blaze of Glory. And
I said this on another podcast. I'll say it here as well. If you buy a ticket to Blaze of Glory, Titan Championship Wrestling in Aberdeen Township, New Jersey on September 16th, or you buy a ticket to Invictus Pro Wrestling's 2-year anniversary at the end of September 29th in the Bronx, same venue that We Are Wrestling will be at in Bloom 3, their 3-year anniversary show. And you can show proof that you have purchased one of those tickets at the door, and you purchase a ticket for We Are Wrestling, I will put half that ticket money back in your pocket. If you buy a ticket for We Are Wrestling's 2-year anniversary Deja Vu, and you have proof of purchase of a ticket to either Titan Championship Wrestling Blaze of Glory or Invictus Pro Wrestling's In Bloom 3 on September 29th, I will give you back half the price of a We Are Wrestling ticket.
That's a great deal, man. Great deal. Take Pete up on his offer. Also coming up, Pete, is Victory Pro Wrestling Sanctified Saturday night, September 9th. Make sure you go to victoryprowrestling.com to get your tickets for that event as well, where Leo Sparrow.
Hey, there's Nahir Robles. She'll be going
will be
one-on-one against Valentina Vasquez for that VPW Women's Championship.
Yes, she will. And Leo Sparrow versus Desmond Cole in an I Quit match.
That's going to be an incredible match. Both of those two young men are absolutely incredible.
Incredible match. But as you know, we are both going to be a part of Titan Championship Wrestling, as I am the official podcast of Blaze of Glory. And with that being said, Pete, guess who's coming on the show Wednesday?
Oh, who?
Not just one person.
Not just one.
But a couple.
Oh, no.
You ready?
Did you get... Oh, no.
The Deadly Sins are coming on tomorrow night.
Oh, no, Papa Dank. What have you done?
The Deadly Sins will be on. And yeah. You'll have to stay tuned tomorrow night for that one.
I'm going to pray for you, Papa Dank. I'm going to pray for you.
Thank you. Also coming up, actually up now, is my latest blog interaction from Victory Pro Wrestling's last show, where Xander Torres is seen running for his life. As you can see by that picture. That looks
like me on the LIE trying to get home.
He deserved that ass whooping, though, that guy. Up next for me is the one and only. Well, this was you, just so you know.
I'll come back.
Oh man, where is it? There he is. 187 from MCW. He is coming on next, and that MCW crew is rowdy as heck, as I am also part of their anti-bullying tour, which I'm very proud to be a part of as well, sir. There's a lot of stuff going on for both of us, man.
A lot
of stuff.
Jam-packed all of September.
Man, I'm busy too, man. Oof. All right, but don't forget, most importantly, this Friday night, We Are Wrestling. If you're in the Bronx, go get your tickets. Go see that show, and I will be back in a few short minutes.